Magic 101.7, today's best music. Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man. It's 3 minutes after 8 o'clock. Good morning, TJ, hanging out with you. Patchy fog this morning. Some clouds, maybe some showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. The high about 80. Right now it is 62. Magic 101.7. And we're joined this morning by Tim Mollen in the studio as we... I'll tell you, I've known about you for a long time. I knew you did a lot of things. I did not realize that you actually wrote a syndicated humor column.
Yep. It was in the Binghamton paper for about 8 years, and Ithaca, Cortland, Elmira, about a dozen papers in Illinois and a couple in California.
That's pretty cool. It's called The Lost Journal, and I guess the best way to describe it, to me anyways, is sort of like the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically taking a day from my past. I'm 45 now, so just picking a day from my past and writing about it as though it were a journal entry from that day.
Right.
So people will sometimes ask, hey, so you've been keeping a journal since you were 0? I said, have you read the column? Because some of them are would be written from the womb, so that would be difficult.
That would be the prequel, The Womb.
Yes. Exactly. So yeah, it's usually about my past. I throw some goofy ones in there. Sometimes they're just about random things. People ask me if it's a true story. I say it's based on a true story, but never let the truth get in the way of a really good story.
Absolutely. Now, how did you start writing it? What came up with the idea?
Well, I had been writing a humor piece for my older brother's online humor magazine. And then I was teaching an improv workshop in Endicott. And one of the paper's editors and their current, or at the time, their humor writer, took my improv class. And his bosses came to see him do the show. They loved it. Were talking to me afterward and said, you know, I write comedy too. Can I run something by you? So my first column appeared in the Press and Sun Bulletin January 1st, 2004.
Oh, very cool.
Became a regular column about a year and a half later. And here we are 10 years later, and I've got them in 270 columns.
Wow. That's awesome.
Now I've published them as 3 books.
Yeah.
And a CD, which you're going to hear a track from in a minute. And as an added thing for people that are familiar with the column, they now have horrendous pictures from the family photo albums. You know, things taken in those awful Olin Mills studios.
Yeah. The plaid and the...
Yes, and my brother's like disembodied head and with his retainer hovering over my head as I'm sitting Indian style. Just bad stuff.
Wow.
Me and my 5 older brothers. So it's 3 books, 1 CD, all available on my website, timmollen.com. And hope people will check it out if they remember my column.
Now, obviously, you do stuff about your family. How, well, you said about not letting the truth get in your way, but do you ever sometimes maybe do something and then your family kind of gives you a hard time saying, wait a second, I don't remember that?
Absolutely. Yeah. My oldest brother, Gerald Mollen, is the district attorney of the county.
Oh, that's right.
So, he definitely is a fact finder, and he'll call me out on something when he sees it. So one time I wrote a column about how my 5 older brothers went to the Yankees game, but they wouldn't let me come because I was too young. So they all went down there. My father hadn't purchased tickets in advance. Found out when they got down there it was bat day. It was a doubleheader, and the pitcher was Mark the Bird Fidrich. Do you remember this?
Sure.
From the mid-'70s?
Yeah.
So he was a superstar for about 5 minutes. So I wrote that column about how I stayed home. They couldn't get into the stadium. They ate their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the stadium parking lot. I got to watch it on TV. Well, Jerry pointed out, Tim, at the time, the date that you picked there, I was in law school at George Washington University, so I wouldn't have really been piling into the family station wagon.
Oh, boy.
So Oprah would have a hard time with me. She'd call me out on my memoir skills, but...
Yeah. It's just those little things, though.
All in the service of good story.
Absolutely. As long as it's funny, that's all that matters, you know?
Yep.
Now, you're a Binghamton native. You've got experience as an actor, a teacher, a writer. You've done some stuff with Second City Improv in Chicago?
Yep. Right after college, I moved out to Chicago. Was there for most of 1992 and took classes at Second City. So
That's
I was
cool.
there right after, like the walls were still reverberating with Chris Farley and Tim Meadows, and I was there just before like Steve Carell and Steve Colbert. Now I wasn't in the troupe like they were. I was just taking classes there, but that in and of itself was a thrill.
Just to be there, I mean that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
wow.
like history.
Very cool.
So loved that. Yeah.
All right, very good. Now, today is an event that is going on, and honestly, this is something I really, unfortunately, didn't really know a lot about. I had to look it up, and it sounds like it's a great event. Binghamton Live at the waterfront.
Yeah. It's new this summer. The city of Binghamton just started doing this. There's a beautiful little public space, like a promenade, a little stage on the east side of the Court Street Bridge, right next to where River Reed Books is.
Yeah.
So they have live music. They have beer tastings, some local artists, and I'll be there tonight signing and selling my books. It's like 5:30 until 7:45, kind of odd hours, I guess. Not too easy to remember, but just starting at 5:30 until the sun goes down.
7:45, you're out of there exactly on the nose.
7:43 and a half.
There you go. That sounds like a lot of fun. I love these. I tell you, that's one thing I love about the area. All these little type of events, festivals, whatever you want to call them, that Binghamton seems to put together. It really makes the area so appealing. You know what I mean?
There's a lot going on. Like I'm actually on the board of the Art Mission and Theater, so put in a little plug for them too.
Yeah.
They newly have installed 2 digital projectors, so they have now a beautiful picture, brand new sound system, and they just started doing something National Theater Live. So it's a broadcast from the National Theater of Britain. So we just showed King Lear a couple of months ago, and The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime a couple of weeks ago. So that's a new
really nice
fun thing happening downtown.
All right,
along with everything else, Roberson and the cider mill, and always something to do.
All right, very good. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play a couple of more songs. We're going to come back, and we're going to play that clip from your audio book. Now, this is an audio version of the 3 books that you released?
Yep, it's a CD. So there's 12 tracks of me using a little bit of my actor skills.
There you go.
And using goofy voices and whatnot to flesh out some of my better columns. So there's 12 of those on the CD.
Magic 101.7, today's best music, Maroon 5, and MAPS 18 minutes after 8. Good morning, TJ with you. Patchy fog this morning. Didn't really see any out there. You see any patchy fog out there this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, you did see some?
Yep.
Okay, so
spooky
stuff.
Yeah,
it's like a scene from a John Carpenter movie. That was the other day. It was. Yeah, the other day that was like that. It was kind of scary.
But no Adrienne Barbeau, unfortunately.
See, now that would make the drive-in very nice. Mostly cloudy today with some showers, maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon too. The high near 80. It's 62 now. We've got Tim Mollen in the studio with us this morning, local resident who just does a lot of stuff. Now we obviously were focusing on your column and the book that were just released. But now you mentioned that you gone to the comedy thing. You do acting.
Yep. I was in Spamalot a couple of months ago.
That's right. Yeah.
And tomorrow morning start rehearsals for Into the Woods at the cider mill.
Oh yes, the cider mill's open, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh well, the plaything's always open, but the actual
donuts.
cider mill. Well, that too. But that part's open now too.
Yes.
So get a donut and go see them in the play. That's kind of cool. What else do you do too? There was something else I thought you were into.
Well, I'm a writer. I'm a
writer.
Business writer and editor.
Busy guy.
And teach improv classes every now and again at the JCC usually.
Okay, so you know my sister, Marlene Schwartz Patrick. Maybe you don't know her.
I don't think I do.
Oh, she runs the child care.
Now I'm going to get smacked if I do know her. She's going to come up to me. You were on the radio. You denied me 3 times.
Yeah, well, we were talking about obviously you grew up with a pretty big family. My sister is the only one I had. My older sister, she's 5 years older than me. And you asked me if she ever smacked me around at all when I was younger. And this is the thing that always pops into my head is the time, probably several times in grade school during recess or something. She always carried this plastic shopping bag with her. I don't know why. She had books or something in it. But I remember one time she started beating the heck out of me with it and got called to the office. And then I started crying because I didn't want her to, it's my sister. You can't take her away.
She's allowed to pound on me. She's family.
She's family. She can do that.
Now, as she gets older, does she still have that shopping bag that she carries around? Because that sounds like kind of like the crazy old cat lady with the shopping bag. Now I'm really going to get slapped by this.
Yeah. Well, she might. I'll have to find out.
But try having five older brothers instead of one older sister. I mean,
that's crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine having a family because I've had several friends with families, or they have big families like that. My wife, she's got 4 sisters and a brother.
Oh wow!
Now, I'm sorry, 3 sisters and a brother.
Where is she in the order?
She is right in the middle. Right in the middle.
With
Smack
its own
dab in the
set
middle.
of challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
The Jan Brady spot.
I was just looking at your first volume of your book here, Volume 1 of the Lost Journal, Confessions of a Failed Paperboy. Now, that just sounds like a movie.
I hope so.
So you thinking maybe someday?
Oh, no. I really, really doubt it.
Yeah. You never know.
You want to play me? You could play me if you want.
My hair's not red enough.
And then the sequel will be the title for my second book, which is 5 Older Brothers, 20 Bad Dates. No, excuse me. 5 Older Brothers, 20 Bad Jobs, and 0 dates.
There you go. That sounds like my past.
My subconscious was bringing up 20 bad dates that I had later.
Meanwhile, several years later. All right, now we've got a clip here from your... Actually, it's in the first one here, Volume 1, because I just happened to see it. It's a field trip to the sewage treatment. Now, this is
it's a middle school field trip.
Yes.
And it's a track from the CD where I've got 12 of my best columns that I do a dramatic reading of. So this is one of those.
Okay, check it out.
Field trip to the sewage treatment plant? Ay. Tim Mollen's Lost Journal, entry March 11th, 1982. Age 12. As a typical 7th grader, I've been instructed on many occasions to get my mind out of the gutter. The confusing onset of hormones and my growing understanding of human biology have made this difficult. But it had never been as difficult as it was today. Our well-meaning science teacher made the grave error of taking me and 30 of my 7th grade classmates on a field trip to the Binghamton, Johnson City sewage treatment plant. Our teacher apparently thought our burgeoning interest in the natural sciences would win out over our innate desire to make jokes about anything having to do with the bathroom. She was wrong. I would wager that none of us had ever ridden a bike down Riverside Drive on a hot summer day, sniffed the foul stench in the air, and thought to ourselves, gee, I'd like to go to the source of that smell and see how it's made. But that was the lesson we were given today. We toured several buildings, each of which had its own olfactory horrors to visit upon us. Each building had its own purpose in the treatment of sewage. We guessed that a promotion at the plant would mean a transfer to a building with a slightly less offensive odor. I observed that none of the buildings seemed to have break rooms. Presumably, employee breaks and meals took place in sealed bunkers deep within the Earth's crust. The highlight of the field trip was the question and answer session at the close of the tour. This unleashed the creativity of our 12-year-old minds as we struggled to craft questions that would amuse our classmates while avoiding the scorn of our teacher and chaperones.
What would happen if everyone in Binghamton flushed at the same time?
One girl asked. Does Binghamton produce more solid waste per capita than Johnson City? And if so, why? Asked another. Then the boys started to chime in. One wanted to know, why is building number 1 used for number 2? Another asked, have you seen my goldfish? The questions and answers being muttered amongst ourselves were, to use the industry parlance, somewhat less refined. One of the comments I heard broke at least 3 of the existing commandments and seemed to require the codification of several new ones. Our guide was a nice man who was an engineer at the plant. He answered the questions as best he could, and he didn't hide his laughter at several points. But even he had had enough when, for the 3rd time, a student raised his hand to ask, what's that smell? Our tour concluded, we returned by bus to St. Patrick's Middle School with enough material for several weeks of lunchroom jokes, classroom notes, and detention writing topics. Our teacher rode the bus in silence, with a resigned expression that seemed to say, "I hope they got it out of their system." And hey, isn't that what today was really all about?
All right, very nice.
Thanks, TJ. Thanks
good.
for playing that. The whole thing.
Yes, yes.
Thanks.
All right, that's just one of the many things you'll read in these books. 3 volumes, the Lost Journal,
Yep.
volumes 1 through 3. You're going to be at the event today at downtown Binghamton.
Yeah, it's Binghamton Live on the waterfront at the east side of the Court Street Bridge by River Reed Books. And anybody who can't make it down to that but wants to get the books, please go to timmollen.com.
All right, very good. Well, good luck with this. Some
Thank you
great
very
stuff
much.
here.